everybody, it's Doug Green, and I'm the publisher of Technology Reseller News, and I'm very pleased to have with me today Mario Di Dio, who's the general manager of Network Helium Nova Labs. Mario, thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you for having us here. It's great to be here.
So last week, we published some news about your company. Helium Network brings Wi-Fi connectivity to AT&T at thousands of locations across America. That's a very big piece of news. Tell me more about it.
Well, essentially, for the ones that you might not be familiar, of course, with Helium, Helium is what you would call a decentralized network, a decentralized wireless network. What does it mean? It means that in a traditional way, when you think of a telecommunication network, you think of these like big towers and expensive sites to operate and maintain. So with Helium, the premises was to change that model in a model where people like you and I and everybody else can host what we call Helium hotspots, which essentially are like, we call it like mini cell towers. And what those mini cell towers do, when there are users nearby, they can connect those users and provide connectivity to those users. But now, as I was saying, the ownership is decentralized across all the people that own those hotspots. So the Helium network is basically bringing together all these different hotspots they are deployed around, for now, US and Mexico, as a unified network that can be utilized by carriers. So last week, we announced that one of the three big carriers in the States, which is AT&T, is started to use the Helium network to bring connectivity to their own customers, which means that when you are nearby one of the Helium hotspots that is enabled by AT&T, you will be connected automatically as an AT&T user to that hotspot, and you will you get connectivity to the internet through that hotspot. And the hotspot owner, which is one of the many owners of the network, will be rewarded in what they call Helium Network Token for providing that connectivity. So that was the one piece of the big announcement last week.
So I want to understand this because I'm an AT&T customer. So I'm, let's say, walking into maybe a convention center or a hotel, or maybe sitting at a restaurant, and I happen now to be near one of these hotspots. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to find the network on my phone. I'll notice I'm on Wi-Fi.
That is correct. So there is this seamless onboarding that gets taken care of from this technology. It's called Passpoint for Wi-Fi, that allows effectively your phone, which has a SIM card, an AT&T SIM card, to recognize home, to recognize where a network is broadcasting, a network that is compatible. And so your phone automatically connects and is secure. So it's still using WPA3, so the link is a secure link, but you don't need to put in any password. You just automatically get connected. And you're right, this is especially interesting for indoor locations because there is usually some challenges with out or in type of coverage, and this solution basically takes care of that in a seamless and transparent way for the user.
And I think everybody, especially for many of our listeners who are technology workers, so the connectivity is very vital. We've all had this experience that the locally provided Wi-Fi might not be working. It's overwhelmed. Too many people are on it, whatever, right? Or somehow it keeps on kicking me off. And I'm left with maybe no option, and I don't have any bars. I have one bar, and I need to upload a file. I need to download a file. or maybe I just want to watch Netflix or something. These are, it's not on.
That is correct. And even for the venue provider, let's say a shopping, like a restaurant owner or a coffee shop owner, there is always the extra burden of providing that guest Wi-Fi. You're worried about people being on your own home network, sharing the same network as your point of sales. So there is a little bit of that as well that gets that friction that is taken away when this is automatically and it's in between you and your carrier and is safe and is secure because the network is isolated. So there's a lot of win from that perspective, also for the person that hosts the hotspot in this way.
Mario, before we move on, I want to stick on this. I'm thinking it's today. I'm thinking maybe I'll go to my favorite Mediterranean restaurant, and it's just two brothers that run the place all the time. So that's like so many small businesses. I don't even know if they have Wi-Fi, but what you're saying is they certainly don't have the time to fool around with, the technology of Wi-Fi. They could put on the window, we have free Wi-Fi, but it's all taken care of. It's secure, it's good, and actually they get rewarded.
That is correct. And then, so essentially, there are two major value propositions for people that decide to join Helium if you're a small business owner. One is the connectivity piece. And, especially for restaurant owners, it's a big deal because people being able to have connectivity at the table not only allows them, to be distracted while they're waiting for the food to arrive, for example, but allows them to snap a picture of their food and upload it in real time if they like what they eat, for example. There is a lot of that. So there's a connectivity aspect. The second part is, yes, there's the reward part, which is, extra, can be monetization of an asset for them because they do get rewarded for providing connectivity. And so, yes, the Mediterranean restaurant, they can participate into the network. And we call it the Helium community. There is a lot of deployers there that they go door to door, especially in the more like busy area, dense area, to get people on board and strike their own deal making with the business owners to host a hotspot at their location.
And it's from a source that's familiar. I'm familiar with AT&T as a brand. I trust it. And again, I'm going to think about these two guys that run that restaurant. For them, also, it makes their restaurant a more desirable place for me to hang out. Maybe even bring my laptop and I'll sit there and do a little work. And I know that I'm good. I'm secure while I'm doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, last week we announced AT&T, but we have, as part of the network expansion, we have another MNOs that we cannot mention at the moment that is also floating into the network. And we have several MVNOs, so they're like virtual operator, that they are also floating. So our goal is for the network to become as useful to as many operators and carriers as possible. So there is a multi-tenancy aspect of what we're doing that allows everybody with every type of service from any carrier to connect to their hotspot once we reach that type of scale and that type of business relationship with all of them.
Now you provided let's see if we can cue this up. We have you provided some graphic here that's actually kind of live.
Yeah,
and to tell us what this is all about.
Yeah, so what we call a Helium World. So you can get to from the world.helium.com, and because of the decentralized nature of what we're saying or what we're building, and the fact that there is a blockchain component, we talk about the crypto tokens being the fuel and the incentive. Everything is public. What I mean, the locations where the hotspots are actually updated in real time because their location live on the blockchain. So what you see here is that the network today is about more than 90,000 hotspots, and we serve. Yesterday, more than 700,000 users. We peak usually over the weekend, over 900,000, of course, because people are out and about. We drive almost 30 terabytes again. Over the weekend, we go well over 30 terabytes of data a day. And what you can do here, like wherever you are close to like your location, you can zoom in and see where those hotspots are located. And if there is someone next to you or not, and it gets used by our community to source venue, gets used by carriers to select where they want to get, because they have the ability to get in all these locations, and they can select where they would like to. Of course, New York is one of our densest deployments, as well as Miami and Los Angeles. So there are two ways, actually, then it's very important for me to say, because it's kind of an interesting way. There are two ways of participating to the network. One is to deploy a hotspot. We call them indoor and outdoor hotspots. They're brand new units that you can install. But if you happen to have a compatible hardware, if you happen to have a compatible Wi-Fi with a major brand, Ubiquiti, Cisco Meraki, Ruckus, Aruba, there are ways, we call it Helium Plus, for you to convert your existing deployment into a Helium deployment. So in this way, you can see this here at the very top level. When you zoom in and you hover over this 93,000, you can see that you can see Helium Mobile indoor, Helium Mobile hotspot outdoor, and then converted Wi-Fi networks. So these converted Wi-Fi networks, those are our prosumer devices that have been converted into being part of the Helium network to provide service. And that's a way for us to scale the network because it doesn't require additional hardware, as you might imagine, compared to like, to bring in new hardware. But there is always ways, and we find that there is both ways are really working for the community to build. So to give you an idea, if you go in the middle of Manhattan, you can go in the top hotspots, and let's select this one, for example. I don't know if this was Manhattan. This is Miami. So this is a hotspot indoor, is in Coral Spring in Florida. It connected about 600 users, let's see, yesterday, 400 users Sunday, April 27th, and 85 gigabyte of traffic. And you can see here in the past 30 days how many Helium network token this Helium mobile hotspot has earned. So it's a way, this tool is a way for carriers. We call it like supply and demands. This Helium World is a place for carriers to see where the network is and where they want to activate the network. And there is also a place for deployers to know where others are earning so that they can move, of course, where there is the biggest probability to capture traffic.
So let's stay with this just for a second. The information you're showing me, this would be available to who? Who would be seeing all this?
To everybody. This is a public website.
So I just as a AT&T customer, anybody can just see this.
Yeah.
So absolutely. Also what you're telling me is I see, you can see if you zoom in a little bit more, there are obviously some adjacent businesses.
Correct.
So these businesses could say, oh, you know what? I'm missing revenue from this activity.
Correct. And our Helium, I'm pretty sure that our Helium community is, as they start their own pitch, they go around, they ask Anthony's Coal Fire Pizza if they want to host one. They show what their neighbors is able to do, and as they move on into all these places, it gets used also for that type of business development from the deployer. But this is cool because we're growing this network, and the carrier is able to grow their capacity and grow their available capacity without any CapEx expenditure on their end. And so it's a very interesting economical proposition from a point of view of cost to serve as well for the carrier.
So yeah, I was going to try to understand the economics of this better. Let's start with the actual end user. So me with my my iPhone, or my wife with her laptop, we automatically get logged on as AT&T customers. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Now the restaurant or the hotel or whatever we're at, are they paying something for all this?
Well, it depends, and depends on how they do the business making with the deployer. So usually the way it works is that they either buy the unit, so that let's say they buy the indoor hotspot, and which is about, I think right now they go for $249. The outdoor hotspot is $499. They can buy in bulk and they have different type of discounts, but they either buy the hardware, or if they have a Wi-Fi network already, they can pay someone to convert that deployment into a Helium compatible deployment. So, but other than that, so the CapEx investiture is much more localized in that way. And on the other way, where the revenue comes from the carriers, because effectively the carriers pay, in this case, Nova Labs, and then Nova Labs turn that around and bring it into the blockchain as a form of cryptocurrency for the host of those hotspots. But many times we see like revenue share model between the host and the deployer. So there is all sorts of creative ways that community come up with to get this out the door.
So Mario, you wanted to show us a specific deployment as an example.
Yeah, I think it's useful for people to see what we think is a perfect deployment. So if we zoom in into New York, you can see that there is one specific deployment I'm personally very attached to, because I think it signifies really well what this network is all about. So this is actually a community center. It's a children community center. So imagine all those parents bringing their kids to their activity, basketball courts, volleyball courts, and this is a perfect location, because as you walk in with your child, you're probably gonna wait in the stands and you're looking on your phone, and you can see how this deployment specifically is moving terabytes of data over a week, and hundreds and hundreds of people every day. So all this to say that this is pretty much a very, very much real network which solves real use cases. And this is specifically very good one, because it really shows the power of an approach like that, how much seamless that can make it for people. The last thing I wanted to say is that you might notice in the map, there is these things that we call expansion zone. So this is what we refer to as a point and shoot mechanism for carriers to say, I want coverage to appear in a certain location. So they are able, Movistar as well now, AT&T as of last week, they are able to like go into the map and tag specific spots as I want to expand coverage in there. And, you know, we announced Movistar last month, but you can see that things like Oaxaca, which is a place in Mexico, they were tagged as expansion zone by the carriers, and community builds coverage there. So it's a point and shoot mechanism, which is very novel for the industry to be able to create coverage on demand where I need it, instead of, you know, very expensive BT processes and site leasing from the carriers. The last aspect that I would like to talk about is the quality of experience. The second part of the announcement with AT&T last week was that not only AT&T customers are now utilizing the Helium network, but Helium is the first OEM, the first Wi-Fi builders that built Wi-Fi real-time metrics that get streamed in real time to the carrier as the user is connected. What does it mean? It means that if, Doug, you're going to your favorite Mediterranean restaurant and they have a hotspot in there, that from the moment that you walk in the door, you, AT&T, and the carriers that serves you as a subscriber will receive streaming KPIs, real-time metrics of a user experience. In this way, they can follow your experience the same way they are used to in their cellular network, now on a third-party network. And they can make decisions dynamically about, oh, should I keep it on Wi-Fi? Should I go, do I have enough capacity on the cellular network? Maybe I move that back to the cellular network. So there's a lot of insights and actionable insights that come from a quality of experience when you connect to a third-party network. And that's never been done before. We've done the joint between the WBA, which is the Wireless Broadband Alliance that we are part of together with AT&T and others. And we're very excited because I think everybody, we think about wireless convergence. And when you hear about wireless convergence, if you're a cellular person, you always think about this control of the UX. And we are, for the first time, we're able to bridge that gap and bring control of the UX also in a Wi-Fi setting.
Mario, this is really interesting. There's more to unpack. This is very interesting. I'm glad we ended up doing a podcast on this announcement and we're able to call out this attention, because I think, amongst other things, we're all going to be impacted by it. I think we're going to start noticing, hey, I'm on Wi-Fi on a very personal level. I hope everyone takes a closer look. Where can people learn more about Helium and also this news?
So helium.com, which is our home base. And as you say, world.helium.com, the tool that I just showed there. It's like the real-time view. We have our stats, and you can see our evolving. We publish stats on a daily basis, so it's pretty interesting to watch the network grow in quasi real time.
Well, this is interesting. I hope we get to do a follow-up podcast on this as you continue to roll this out. But for now, thank you very much indeed.
Of course. Thank you, Doug, for having us. Thank you for the time.